This review is of Take the Fall by Emily Hainsworth.
So this is a murder mystery set in the world of teenagers, and the level of the book is really it's a young adult or teenage book. If you're a mature reader and you're looking for something that's like really high level, high quality, this is not what you're going to look for. This is more of a psychological mystery. It encompasses things like fear, greed, psychopathy, or narcissism, um, selfishness in general. It also, uh, you know, trying to cover things up, trying to expose things, all of that kind of normal stuff. But whereas you are led to believe that this is the protagonist revealing their thoughts to you, it is not, in fact, that. It is more like a journal. It's not written like a journal per se, but what is revealed in it is not as intimate as, say, a diary would be. It only shows you part of what's going on, and it really is, for me, I really don't appreciate it when a writer, and I think I mentioned this in one of the recent reviews that I've done. I don't appreciate it when a writer is deceptive by withholding facts from the narration, which is whether that's narration from a narrator in the story, a third party, or if it's the protagonist or antagonist or whoever it is that the story is focused on. If that person, that character, is not being transparent, I find that to be a very facile and disappointing tactic to use. So I think that I really don't know how to ameliorate this or mitigate it or make it better, but it's not the kind of writing that I appreciate. To me, it's just when you use deception in writing, it needs to be used carefully. It either needs to be used by not the person who is the narrator, so to speak, of the story, whether that's an unseen narrator or if it's the main character, the person that the story is being told by. Um, yeah, it has to be somebody else, or it has to be handled in such a way that you realize that you probably can't trust the person who's narrating. Um, so this is, to me, a clumsy way to tell a story. Um, and I think that if the narration had been achieved in a different way, that which is to say, without uh, through dialogue rather than through, oh, I thought this, I felt that kind of a thing, um, that it would be better for the book. I think it would raise the bar, or not the bar, but it would raise the quality of the story to a higher level, because the writer isn't being disingenuous with the reader by presenting it in an externalized fashion like dialogue is. But because the writer used an internalized dialogue or monologue, um, which is represented as being the thoughts and the feelings of the protagonist, it you feel like you're being communicated with honestly until you think you're not, or you know you're not. And I again, I just don't appreciate that style of writing. I don't appreciate that kind of a choice. To me, it's kind of a cop out. I think that she did otherwise a pretty good job of writing. Um, I did actually skip to the end, and I only read enough of the ending to come to the conclusion about who was the killer. But I didn't read enough. I got it wrong because I just skimmed it. And so I missed this little detail that would have told me who the actual killer was. So all along, I thought I knew who the killer was, and I was wrong. Which is not to say that the person I thought was a killer didn't a bad person, and didn't deserve my scorn and my disdain and so on and so forth. But I was wrong. But in other respects, the writer does a good job. She does manage. She did manage to evoke some emotional responses in me of frustration, of irritation with the protagonist, um, of compassion, uh, and just the protagonist really is kind of an irritating person. And the more you get to know her, the more irritated I felt more irritated with her the closer I got to the end of the book, because she's portrayed that well. Okay, so in that respect, Emily Hainsworth did a great job. She really unfolds this character and lets you know what this person is really like. Um, and she could have done the whole book that way without any deception between the reader and the writer. That is the wrong kind of deception that I have already explained. So, if it hadn't been for the deception, which emasculated the book, or I don't know what the equivalent word would be since the writer is a female, but basically, um, chopped the book off at its knees. If it hadn't been for that, this would be a much better book. And I hope that Emily sees this review, and I hope that she takes into consideration what I have said and either rewrites this book or just doesn't use this mistake again. Because it not only hobbled or handicapped or the character, but I feel it also hobbled her own success as a writer. Um, so yeah, so because she was able to show the progression of the character, or not show the progression of the character, but reveal the character's true nature, because she was able to evoke emotions in me, which is not something that all authors can do. Um, and I am not really convinced that. I mean, had people tell me I'm a good writer. I've only published one or two little short stories. So it's nothing to brag about or anything like that. But I'm not sure that I could do as good of a job as she did in revealing the true nature of this character. So she's definitely got potential, but and because of that, and in spite of her cutting off this book at the knees with the deception, if it had just been deception, I would say don't Don't waste your time. But because she's able to do these things, I would say, if you're a young adult, you're probably still going to enjoy this. If you're a teen, you're going to enjoy it and you're going to relate to it. It's relatable. It's definitely relatable on different levels. I never personally met a person like the person who was murdered. Or rather, I shouldn't say I never met, but I never had a close relationship that I'm aware of with a person like that. I've met some pathological liars. I've met some people that I was pretty sure were narcissists or psychopaths. I work at a company that's run by narcissists and psychopaths and sycophants. But yeah, so she did a good job. So I'm going to give this a 6.5. And I hope that she'll do Take the Fall version 2, where she rewrites the whole thing and gets rid of the deception in its current form. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.